Shadowed Battlegrounds presents Shadows Over Albion, the Invasion Chronicles, Episode 2, First Contact. The early morning light barely pierced through the thick fog, enveloping the English coastline, as Hans Müller and his comrades prepared to disembark. The roar of engines and the clamor of soldiers filled the air, mingling with the distant sound of artillery fire. The German forces had arrived, and Operation Sea Lion was underway. Hans stood on the deck, clutching his rifle, his heart pounding in his chest. The initial excitement had given way to a tense anticipation. As the landing craft approached the shore, the ramp dropped with a thud, and Hans, along with his unit, charged onto the beach. The beach was a chaotic scene of explosions, gunfire, and shouts. Hans quickly found cover behind a makeshift barricade, his senses heightened by the adrenaline coursing through his veins. He glanced around, taking in the intensity of the battle. Fellow soldiers fell, some crying out in pain, while others pressed forward with determined resolve. "Stay low and keep moving," their commanding officer shouted over the din. Hans obeyed, pushing through the chaos, his mind focused on the objective. The initial skirmishes were brutal, but the German forces gradually gained ground. The defenders were well prepared, but the element of surprise worked in the invaders' favor. By midday, Hans and his unit had secured a section of the beach. They regrouped, catching their breath and tending to the wounded. The cost had been high, but they had established a foothold on British soil. Hans took a moment to reflect on the reality of what they were facing. The invasion was no longer a distant plan. It was their present reality, and the full scope of their mission loomed ahead. With the beachhead secure, orders came to move inland. The objective was to take the nearby town and establish a more robust position. Hans and his comrades moved cautiously through the countryside, aware that every step could bring them into another skirmish. As they approached the outskirts of the town, they encountered stiff resistance. British soldiers, supported by local Home Guard units, had fortified positions. The battle intensified, with both sides fighting fiercely for control. Amidst the fighting, Hans found himself grappling with the harsh realities of war. The camaraderie that had bolstered them on the ship now felt distant as the losses mounted. He thought of his family, the promises he had made, and the duty he felt to his country. "Stay focused, Hans," he muttered to himself, pushing forward. By evening, the Germans had managed to secure a portion of the town. As night fell, the fighting subsided, and an uneasy calm settled over the battlefield. Hans sat with his comrades around a small fire, the flickering flames casting shadows on their weary faces. "We did well today," one of his comrades said, trying to lift the spirits of the group. Hans nodded, though his mind was heavy with thoughts of the days to come. The invasion was far from over, and each victory came at a great cost. Hans lay on the cold ground, staring up at the night sky. The stars seemed so distant, a stark contrast to the harsh reality surrounding him. He knew that tomorrow would bring more challenges, more battles, and more sacrifices. But for now, he allowed himself a moment of rest, drawing strength from the camaraderie of his fellow soldiers and the resolve that had brought him this far. If you like this story and want to see more, click on the icon top left. If you want to help support our channel, please hit the subscribe button on the top left. Also, if you can, please share on social media if you like. Thank you.